It seems that
Hey,
it seems that Instagram has a limit now.
oh, why? Why will they do that? Okay. I guess you have to be more sharp and just finish the conversation.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
so we were talking about nepotism, right? And hiring people out of just because you know them or you're friends with them. And again, I really believe that that's not a criteria at all. You should hire and have the best people in your company. And you are not only, I think that at first it might look like you're not supporting them, but in the end of the day, you're making them a favor because you don't want to have in your company someone who would rather be somewhere else, right? Don't. It's the same thing with friendship, relationships. You don't want to, hold people for the sake of holding them, right? Let them go so they can grow in their own journey.
sometimes helping someone grow is not by being soft with them, but by being hard on them. Sometimes being
Yeah,
too
that's the
soft
concept of
can be dangerous for our loved one. Sometimes being too soft can be dangerous for our loved one because they won't grow as a person. They'll just become more of a fake person than the who they really are. And being fake for too long can relate to us not knowing who we are
yeah.
because wearing a mask like way too long, it becomes wearing a mask for too long. It becomes us. It defines us. So
Yeah.
it's not a good thing.
No, I totally agree with you. And that's the whole definition of tough love, right? Sometimes you have to be tough, but as long as you are doing from a place of love, that's what really matters, right? It's not necessarily being tough or soft, but where we're coming from and communicating that with the people that you are dealing with, right? So it's very important to keep their communication open and let the other person know that whatever you're doing is really because you want the best from them, right? So that's why usually our parents they say, listen, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, you shouldn't start a business because it's too risky. It's not that they don't want you to follow your dreams, it's just that for them, according to what they know, it's way safer not to do that, right? So most of the times they're coming from a place of love, not from a place of hatred or jealousy or anything like that.
What do you think of how do you create multiple incomes, or what do you think of having a multiple income? Some people
So
say it's
I
social
believe
media of table or something like that.
Well, it's super important to have multiple streams of income, especially, we talked about this a little bit in the beginning. It's so important for you to kind of like have something else to fall on, right? So if one stream of income is over for whatever reason, you still have another one to survive, right, and to thrive. So that's what I was saying. It's not necessarily about being a full-time entrepreneur all of the times. You can definitely have a job, a full-time job. It's just 8 hours of your day. Um, let's add like 2 hours or maximum 3 up to 4 hours if you're considering commuting, preparing for meetings and stuff like that. You still have a lot of time to build another stream of income. Will be your side business as well, right? And then of course there are people who often call it passive income. I don't necessarily think that they're fully passive. It's much more an income that you don't have to be present so that the business can run and you can earn money, right? That's when we were speaking about stocks, bond, index funds, you know, having shares in other people's company to really have this second stream of income. And sometimes operating multiple business. But I don't necessarily advise people to kind of like go for quantity all the time. Just, having 2 or 3 streams of income, they're really stable. It's much more important than having 7 streams of income and they're all kind of like slow. Sometimes we have way too much loss and little bit of gains. So be mindful of that. That's why a
Just have,
financial advisor is the best way to go.
so you're saying it's just have enough stream of income that you can still handle, and their quality is good or great.
Yeah, yeah. Also, a lot of people buy things with intrinsic value, like gold, silver, things that their own existence is valuable, right? But again, these are things that you buy and you keep it for years, right? 10 years, 30 years. You don't just buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. So definitely do that. And if you are
So,
trying to have many streams of income, consider a financial advisor to support you in that. Yeah, because just to wrap it up, some people think that having multiple streams of income is investing in different companies, right? Let's say you have an index fund from Vanguard, or you have stocks on Apple, and you also have stocks from Tesla. That's all the same string of income. Your money are coming from investing, you know? So you have to kind of create something else rather than investing on stock, because in the end of the day, this is just investing in companies, right? So maybe consider buying gold, buying silver, or consider working with Bitcoin or crypto coin. Um, Consider having a job or work as a consultant. This is what people usually meant by different things of income, not different um,
different
business within the
companies
same
or
thing of
different
income.
sides of income from
Yeah,
someone income. Because
yeah,
even if it's a different side of you could say one income, like one stock from Tesla, one stock from Google. Sometimes like a pandemic like now can collapse all of them at the same time.
yeah, definitely.
But if you have like a stock in Tesla
Yeah,
and you have
definitely. So yeah, look
investment in
about the
gold, or
rental.
and one collapse, one is still there, because you could say the price for gold and other things doesn't always can
Yeah,
be impacted easily by just economic collapse or things like that.
yeah. Or besides having those two, you can add a rental, and a rental could be renting a room in your house, right? With Airbnb, not necessarily means an entire property. Sometimes it's usually a room inside your house. Um, so, for instance, if the market goes wrong or the price of gold is not really attractive for you, you still have that bedroom that gives you a third stream of income for that house.
Uh, what business do you do personally? I mean, your three companies. What companies are them?
Okay,
What
so the first startup that I founded was a startup that did technical and vocational training program in a small town in Mozambique, and then we expanded to other three towns. But eventually, I went to my second business. That was my career. I do consider my career as a business, because at the end of the day, you still have clients, you still have people to pay. That's yourself, right? So it's the same thing as being self-employed. If you're really taking the risks, and the benefit of that is that in the end of the day, I still have my salary, right? If the company is not doing right, that's not my problem at all. I'm still counting to have my salary in the end of the day. So that was my second business. But because I wanted to focus my career so much, I ended up selling my shares on the company to my co-founder, and I just became an advisor of the company. Um, and then now my third one is Sharing Knowledge International, where I focus on business development, business advisory, career counseling, and transformational success coaching. But I also invest in stocks, in bonds, and I also have that other stream of income. So yeah, if you're trying to kind of build a same system, my biggest advice is, again, go with things that you are passionate about. You can earn money with it instead of trying to do all those things. If you like stop to think, my first startup is related with my career. It's also related to my business, right? I often don't advise people to diversify out, right? You have to really love the business that you are investing, the things that you are doing. Of course, like in the next few years, I might invest in a different company that works on healthy food because that's a passion of mine, right? So always try to invest and work in things that you are passionate about, not necessarily just because they're going to give you money at the end of the day. Because again, you might not have that money.
I totally agree that a person should have a business or invest in something that they're passionate about. Since if it's they're passionate about it, then for them to get bored about something they're passionate is very, very low. There's such a low chance for someone who is passionate to get bored about something, even if they fail like 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times they fail in that in their passion, they will still try to find other, you could say, opportunities or other ideas that can help them succeed in their passions, whether it's their job, their investment, or their business. But not all passion can be, you could say, become a business, especially when
Mhm.
we are heading for an era where cash, something, the thing that we call cash, maybe not known by our grandchildren. I think it's will come to an era where we only use like uh, digital currency, or just it's just numbers. It's all on pure number. There's no physical object for it. It's just numbers. A
Yeah,
thousand yen, $1,000, or €1,000, but it's just only left as number. No coins, no paper, just numbers. How do you
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
how to face those era that is coming really fast from how I see nowadays? Nowadays, people are very invested in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and all those other coins that are mostly digital currencies.
Yeah, so there are two layers in your question, right? The first one is, of course, not every passion of ours can be capitalized and monetized, right? And often what I say to people is don't necessarily focus in the how per se, focus in the core of your passion, right?
Uh-huh.
So for instance, I'm very passionate about healthy food, healthy stuff in general,
Yeah.
food, oils, kind of like traditional and natural medicine, right? There are 1,000 ways I can explore that passion. So I can go ahead and open a restaurant. I can open a food delivery system. I can grow healthy crops. I can give people advice on how to, set up a great diet, a diet that benefits them and helps them, strengthen their immune system, accelerate their metabolism. I can work for a company. They already are doing that. I can, from the business that I have, decide to donate part of my profits to a NGO or for a business that works in that, right? So the how can be literally everything and everything. There are infinite possibilities in that. But I'm still working in my passions field. That's what's most important, right?
Mm.
So be flexible on the how, but keep your why. That's one thing. The other thing with crypto coin, in cryptocurrencies, that is, I do believe that is kind of like the future that we're going through, because not only you save a lot of money with paper, right? You don't have paper to do it, but also because of the privacy that you have with cryptocurrency, right? When you have cryptocurrency, it's so hard to track where this money is coming from, and you kind of like get protected. Your identity get protected in the things that you're buying, and I believe that that's why most people are attracted to crypto coin. The thing is, again, look for, I invest in crypto coin, but look for people who you can really trust, because there are a lot of scams around crypto coin. A lot of people that they end up delivering you results, but they charge you, but they shouldn't be charging, right? So again, do your research on that and look for people that you can trust and give you advice on crypto coin. And again, if you want to go in that market, learn a little bit about that first before going and investing directly on it. Okay, because there's so many scams out there. We have to be aware of them, and you have to know, um, how to move around those challenges, because you don't want to be checking on your crypto coin every single day, right? You kind of like want to let it be still and grow, and you just check it once in a while. Like I check mine every 6 months, but I work with a team that I really trust. They're doing this work, right? So that's very important when you speak about money. But yeah, that's the future, definitely. I don't know if it is in 10, 20, or 50 years, but I see it as the future.
I mean, with the digitalization, or you could say, with when there is comes an era, there's no paper or coins, only numbers. Then things like maybe hacking the bank and changing the numbers will really give a big impact in that era. Hackers changing several numbers in maybe a certain person's bank account can make them rich in like even faster than any businessman alive right now. They
Yeah,
only
yeah,
change the
sure,
number,
sure.
but they impact that specific bank account or that specific saving account.
Yeah, sure. And also because our identity is protected, you don't really have a way to tell where this money is coming from. If it is
Or
something
the
legal,
time
um,
to
you don't know because you cannot trace that money back, right? I do believe that still there are this, all those things that have to be agreed upon to not only give us the security to use that money, but also to protect us from ourselves as well, right? Because there will be no way for you to kind of like track down where this money is coming from, and people can do a lot of things with money, right? They can use it to build good stuff, but they can also use it to destroy people. So yeah, so that's why I'm saying I don't know exactly how many years all those questions will be answered, but definitely it's something that we will be using in the future.
the coming years, this question will be answered.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say financial is one form of power. There's our political power, financial power, and various other powers, including influential power. Some people they
Yeah.
don't have money or political standing, but they have influence towards people on those that have those powers. So it is power is in the modern
Yeah.
era. Power is an interesting concept actually, very interesting. It doesn't only apply for physical power anymore, but it also apply for other, you could say, non-physical powers like financial, political, psychological, or etc. It's a really interesting concept in the modern era.
Yeah, biological. I'm all things power. I'm passionate about power. That it is. And to be honest, it's a concept that's been around 1,000 years already, like for thousands and thousands of years, not just from the modern era. What is different is the specificities of it. That's what is different. Because even about money, right? If you look around, if you look it closely, it's just a representation of wealth, right? Before money was invented, you will still trade with your fish, right? And maybe you will trade that fish with some vegetables. So money is literally just a representation of wealth, and wealth can be represented in different ways, not just the physical money. That's when the digital money comes in. But something that has been going on, like for ages, is the paper checks that we use with banks. In many African and Asian cultures, there was some sort of a check that you can go on. as a guarantee of a physical material. Give you a script of of your house, or a script that says that this child will be yours from 15 years from now. These are all representations of wealth, not necessarily wealth itself. Few objects that really have intrinsic value as gold, and those are the ones that have value per se, right? Because we know that the amount of gold in the world is finite. It's something that will die, therefore it has power. But even the value of those things is something that people discuss every day. Social family was discussing and setting up the price of gold in the world. Literally, they will sit in a room and discuss how much expensive or cheap the gold price will be. So yeah, it's literally just matter of representations of wealth.
That's an interesting question. Uh,
Bring it on.
okay. In my religion, we believe that there will come a time where we go back to the old time, the time where you could say our prophet was living. So we don't use any more technologies, but we go back to the age where we live traditionally, where we maybe hunt, farm, and they don't use money anymore, but we come back to using gold and other jewelries, or a form of trade that was available in the old era, but we are going to do it again in the future. Do you personally believe, or do you see that we going back, or we going to that kind of situation?
But I do believe there is a lot of wisdom in ancient texts, regardless of which religion it is, right? So ancient texts from from the Hebrews, from the Muslims, from many Asians and African religions, they hold great amount of wisdom. What I often found is that we often look for those texts as literal stuff, right? We look literally, that there is this city that measures exactly this, there's exactly this measures, they will look exactly like this. And what I found is that most of the times, it's not necessarily they're written in code, but they are written in a representational way, right? So even if you go back, for instance, to the Bible when it describes, the origins of the universe and how Adam and Eve were created, there's a lot of discussion around if that passage, because it's repeated in several religions, right? They kind of like tell a same story with a few variations, but there is, or is it something from other planet that people were describing? And was it the first time that happened, or is it some sort of thing that happens, in one planet and then happens on the other planet, or it happens several times in this planet? So there is a lot of wisdom to be taken at, but I don't think that will be as literal as we were expecting. And there are some sort of code this ancient wisdom. We have to understand that. So to give you a clear example is, there is this scientist, Greg. He studies ancient texts and kind of like translated into modern day information that people can understand. And he was doing a research with people from the Alaska and the Arctic, and a lot of people will say that with time the skies will change, and literally something that a lot of people are talking about, especially in the spiritual world, is this kind of like transition from dimension to the fifth dimension, and that the axes of the earth are kind of our poles will shift along the way, but literally that but means the skies are changing, right? Because if the earth tilts from, you know, being this to being like this, the sky will change eventually, right? How be represented, but I know that the basic laws of money will still be applied, because in the end of the day, money and wealth is just a frequency. Coins, it could be some.
Well, since we talk about that, there are very interesting concept of power in the modern era, right? But can we, you could say, can we go back to the simple era where there is no concept of power, but only, you could say, familial or friendship, where we can have peace and care for one another without saying this have that, he have this, without any subjective, you could say, but only objectively, or only affections without having any intentions, or say without having anything, without thinking of personal or uh, gains for the group of personally. I don't know. Interesting. So tell me, who is that?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Connection here just went crazy. Let me check
Well,
what's
it happens sometimes.
going on. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, but now you can hear me right?
Yes. I was moving
Okay, great.
the.
So your question was about this, if I,
Uh,
yeah, understood your question was about we moving into an era where we are more equal, where we feel more equal, right? Where we no longer fighting or stuff like that.
yes.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you, and I definitely see a shift in the global energy. The entire universe is kind of changing um, to allow us to get there. But again, I don't think, or at least I'm not expecting that we will kind of be transferred from this planet to a different planet, or that things will be, you know, like we'll be seeing whales flying in the sky or something like that. I do believe that this is a personal journey, right? I believe that we are powerful beyond measure. Every single one of us, we are powerful beyond measure. What usually happens is that we forgot how powerful we are, and we gave
Yeah.
away a lot of our power to other people, to other systems, we just give it away. So my entire kind of like mission is to allow people to remember how powerful we all are, regardless of where we come, how much money we have. We are powerful. We have to remember that. And then I support and challenge people to step into that power and own it. Because one thing is, you might know that you are powerful, but you don't want to take the responsibility yourself, right? You don't want to be the ultimate responsible of your life. It's something scary to do, right? You don't want to be responsible for all of your experiences. But if you don't step it, you're just giving it away. You are giving other people the choice to do whatever they want to do with your life, right? And then I'm all about helping these empowered people to empower others, because that's what we must do. If you want society, every single one of us has to be able to embrace power. Because if I'm in a position where I feel that I can make decisions for your life than yourself, that's when we start having unbalanced power. So yeah, again, I believe that we are kind of shifting. A lot of things happen around the world. People are feeling, restless, impatient. People are starting to do things that have been for many years now. But this is a personal journey. We still have so that we all can live in a more justice um, or a more fair world, for that matter.
Well, on to a discussion that is related to power. Do you personally believe that arrogance kills? Can someone arrogance kills them?
I would add with this meme that I saw today, really. It was a meme about an ancient shaman that practiced healing techniques, and he said that venom is everything that we have in our lives that is beyond what we need, right? So power per se is not a bad thing, but every time that we have something that it's beyond what we need, that thing starts being toxic. If you see every single medicine out there can have the potential to become a venom. It's just the doses and the frequencies that you're taking that makes it a remedy or a venom, right? It really comes down to how much is enough for you and you not overdosing it, because that's when you start, when confidence becomes arrogance, and arrogance will then kill you, right? But if you check it, arrogance, or the light aspect of arrogance, is confidence, and we all want to be confident, right? But the thing is, how much is enough? So that's the whole balancing thing in life. You balance in being confident but also being humbled, right? You have in faith that things will eventually get better, but right now things are horrible. So what can I do to improve those things, right? So there is always this kind of like balancing aspect of life going on.
So, as long as you keep things in proportion, everything is going to be fine. But if you
Yeah,
are too confident, you become arrogant. But if you're totally not confident, then you could say a bit pathetic. When you're not at all confident at all, you're pathetic. But if you are too confident, you become arrogant. I
and
see.
also pathetic. And something that I think most people don't realize is that we give the world the best example on how to treat us. If we allow someone to come, if I allow someone to come to me and speak in a way that I don't agree, if I allow that, I'm showing the entire world that it's okay for someone to come and speak to me that way. And I don't necessarily say that you have to go and punch someone in the face if they say something that you don't agree, but you can always use your words to state your power, to state that you don't accept that to happen, right? You can walk away from a situation that doesn't serve you, right? We don't necessarily need to use violence to portray our worth into the world, right? But we show to the world how the world can treat us. So that's why self-love practices are so important, right? When you're really showing the world how to treat yourself every day, every single day. And most of the times we think that it's about the big things, when in reality it ends up being the small things. You know, how you speak to yourself, how you think about yourself, you know, how you say good morning to, you know, your helper, to your friends, how you show up.
Yeah, I agree that sometimes you could say, we don't see or we ignore the small things, but we don't realize that those small things can lead to big things, or a big impact on our can become a big impact on our lives. And sometimes not only stating our you could say status or position in how to interact with us or other things, but we also need to treat other people how we want them to treat us, how we want to be treated,
Yeah,
treating others like that. And we
yeah,
need to have enough confidence to say or show that I don't like this, can you do it like this
uh-huh.
or like that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because
Macro victories are built in micro wins, right? This
because
is those micro battles that you take every single day, they will build up to a big victory.
sometimes there are things like winning the battle but not the war, or the opposite thing is winning the war but not the battle. Sometimes we won the war but we don't feel that we won the battle at all.
Yeah, it's the same thing. When I'm usually in those coaching practices, I explain people the concept or how I interpret light, darkness, and shadow, right? To me, light is whatever we're trying to bring forward to this world, whatever we're trying to build everything that is desirable. While darkness is just raw, brutal potential, right? Let's say you are in a dark room and you cannot see, you know, a single thing. There could be an elephant in that room and you wouldn't notice, right? It could be a ship, an airplane, an apple, a pen. You wouldn't know. So darkness to me always represents infinite possibilities. And then shadow is the price you have to pay for the light that you have, right? If you stand up outside and there is a sunny day, you will have a shadow. That's just the price. We are so focused on the light that we want to have and to build in our lives that we forget that we always has a shadow as a price. So let's say you want to have a perfect gym body, you will have to develop, you know, accountability, focused, hard work. All of those things are shadows, are prices to have your gym body. The same thing with your business, with your career. There's always a price to be paid. Sometimes you pay it before, sometimes you pay it after you get what you want.
Well, sometimes people say that we need one thing to know the other thing. So if light is other people and the darkness is ourselves, then we need the light to know ourselves, which creates the shadow, the connection between.
Yeah. And every single one of us is a mix of light and darkness. We all have potential that we haven't realized it yet. And we also have accomplishment that we already realized, right? So we are always balancing those two types of energy. And shadow is a normal price that we pay for, you know, having both.
Yeah. Well, power is, you could say, a natural thing.
It
It's in
is.
the middle. It's how a person or the person uses it. It can become a power that hurts people, or you could say evil, and it can be the power that heals people, or you could say good. But
Yeah.
if the people who are good-willed don't use their power, then of course the people that has dark or their evil intention will be the one who you could say conquer everything, because there are people that have goodwill but doesn't use or doesn't realize that they have power to fight these people that doesn't have or good intention, or they have bad intentions, whether it's for the world or for a certain group or for a certain people. That's why there's still things called war, racism, and criminality. Those are created because of people with evil intentions use their power while the good doesn't. So to stop them, then we need first to make the good people realize that they have power, and show them how to use it properly. Because if a power is not used properly, it can backfire on ourselves.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with money. It's just an amplifier of who we are. You
Yeah,
know, people often there is. I believe people are more afraid of feeling powerful than of feeling powerless. You
yeah,
know, there's a lot of lot of sayings that goes as, oh, now that he has power, he's such a, you know, an arrogant person. Now that he has money, he's so mean, right? But all those like power and money, it just amplifies who you are. You know, you check people as Mother Teresa. She raised millions of dollars, and she was one of the most amazing human beings in this planet, right? There's a lot of people with money, a lot of people that with power. They are doing amazing things for other people, and there's also a lot of people without money or people that feel powerless that are, you know, hurting other people. So power and money, they're not the causes of
it's
whatever
not.
behavior we have. It's never the cause. You know, it's just an amplifier. That's
It's
all
just
what
what
it does. It just amplifies who you are
it
inside.
just shows who someone really is. It just shows a person's true character. When they're in
Yeah,
power,
that's
they have
it.
money, they have power, they show their true character because they're not afraid of anything. They have power, they
Yeah,
have influence, they have money.
yeah,
Who they need to be afraid of? So they show their real character. But sometimes people who are
yeah.
powerless, they're afraid to show their real character, so they became maybe they fake their good or kind persona. It's quite sometimes are quite fake. So power and money is
Yeah,
the thing that
that also,
that removes the mask from a person and show who they really are. So it doesn't really thinking that money and power causes
yeah,
someone to be bad is totally wrong.
it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Power doesn't corrupt. You are the one who corrupts yourself, right? And what accept that those things happen to you. It's not. I know a lot of people with money, and they are like the most amazing, caring people that I've met in my life. I also know a lot of people without money who are also amazing individuals, and really, they sometimes have so little, but they meant so much to other people. It's unbelievable, right? And I also met people from both worlds that are completely idiots. It's the same thing as people blaming alcohol for whatever they did. You know, you already went through that. Just stop blaming others. Stop blaming alcohol. Stop blaming your friends. Stop blaming. Stop. Just stop blaming other people. Take responsibility for your actions.
If you have a simple, people say, low class lifestyle, no matter how many power you have, no matter how much money you have, you will still live the same life that you are already living. And if you're a charitable person, you will always become a charitable person. Only probably if you have more power and money, your charity increases, but it doesn't change your character
Yeah,
or lifestyle.
it doesn't. It doesn't. And it is okay if you change things that you don't like anymore, change a few things that you don't like. Um, but again, you are the one making those changes. You know, money doesn't come and knock on your door and say, hey, buy this car, or hey, move neighborhood. You are the one calling the shots, right? So yeah, I really think that we shouldn't be afraid of stepping into our power, afraid of having money. We shouldn't be afraid of that. Um, because again, it's just a representation of our wealth, right? A representation of our power. And really who we are is what counts. Who we are is what she became one of the few billionaires that lose their billionaire status because she gave most of her money to charity, right? This is who she is. It's not a, and she's a billionaire. She was a billionaire. Now she's a millionaire, but she's doing amazing things for the world. So yeah, that doesn't change who we are.
Okay, what do you think of the statement that a person with a bad or very ugly past can make a great or a beautiful future? What do you think of that statement? Do
That's
you
true.
agree?
We will. I think that only people who are not yet intact and in tune with their power are the ones who thinks that we are byproducts of our circumstances, right? You can have two people who like brothers, twin brothers, who experience the exact same things. You know, they had the same childhood, they had the same access to things in life, the same education, the same teachers, uh, sometimes even the same friends, and they can grow up and be completely different people. And even though they are genetically the same, right? Twins, especially the two twins, they are genetically the same. But still, they can have and live different life products only of our circumstances. We always have a choice um, to decide who we are going to be and who we are becoming in this lifetime. So really, I've known people who been through traumas in their childhood, and they've really focused on not allowing that other people or other children to face the same troubles, right? Keeps building the cycle. So sometimes someone is abused as a child and they keep abusing other people throughout their lives. What has to happen is that we have to learn how to forgive others, and most importantly, forgive ourselves. Right? Most of us, we speak to ourselves in a way we will never speak to our best friend. We will never speak, with a stranger in the street, but we speak like that with ourselves. When we think to ourselves, so stupid. What do you think will happen? Nothing bad, nothing good happens to me. I'm an idiot. That kind of like is something that usually comes up because we know we haven't forgave ourselves for things that happen in our past. So it's important to heal, forgive, and we can always transmit energy, right? You can always turn people who are shitty towards you, people who didn't believe in you, and you turn that energy into something good and something great. Singers do this all the time. She usually just sings things about breakups and heartbreaks and depression and sadness, but energy into something great, which is her art, her music. Wonderful. So I have more 5 minutes before I have to jump. So I think we
Okay.
should kind of like just wrap up our talk today. What do you think?
Okay, one last question. In this new normal condition with the pandemic is still
Amazing.
going on, but
So do you have
we
any?
start. What do you think is the best decision for entrepreneurship for a university student to have, especially if they live in an area where maybe internet connection or where they have very little resources to work with.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to say about this whole pandemic situation and what's going on in the world right now is it's funny that if you think a few years back, people were earning for a change, right? People wanted to have more time. People wanted to spend more time with their families. People wanted to be able to work remote, all those things. And when finally those things happened, just because it didn't happen the way people were expecting, people are freaking out. Right now, people are, oh, I have all this time to spend with my kids and I don't know what to do. Oh, now I can spend time with my parents, but I'm just over them. But honestly, for the last, I don't know, 20 years, all we wanted was more time. And we finally have it. Right? So the first thing that my first advice is flip your perspective. You can use this and be, completely crazy about it. And I know that it's been hard for many people. There are people who lost their jobs, people who lost their source of income, and they're unable to put food in their tables. I know that it's happening. I'm taking that as a serious thing. But again, you can choose to look at all the things that went down, or you can decide to embrace it and look for the things that might be actually great in this time. So focus on the positive. That's my first advice. And second, if you're in university, I know how hard it can be to study from home. I know how it is hard to work from home. Even if you don't have children around, things happen. It kind of feels like once you are at home, all the problems comes to your home for you to solve them, right? It almost feels like that. All of a sudden, people start calling you in the middle of a live stream. All crazy things happen. So a great I was as I deal with that is I try to be in control of my time the most part of it, right? So schedule things off. Make sure that you establish a time for you to work, a time for you to play with your friends, and let them know about your schedule. If you live with someone else, let them know your schedule. Let them know that, hey, tomorrow this time I'll be doing a live stream. I will really need or I would appreciate a quiet time, a quiet space, right? Always plan and program yourself because you have time. You have time. The second thing is, and this is so funny. I know that, and I was speaking with HR managers, for instance, and they were saying that a lot of them they don't have any vacancies open, right? They just cannot hire people. But so many others who can, and they're not receiving applications because everyone thinks that there are no jobs. Everyone thinks that there are no opportunities. While that is true in some industries, in some companies, others are hiring massively, especially with remote work. So be open for opportunities because they exist. You just have to look for them. They exist. So being LinkedIn, uh, network with people online. There's like loads of online events, and a lot of people who weren't access before, now they are access. Now they are easy to access because they have nothing to do, right? They are on social media, they're on the internet. So you can go and interact with them. So don't see this as a negative thing. Try to catch upon the positive sides of it. And if you don't have many resources, if you have an you can start whatever you want, right? You can sign in to several freelancers platforms as Fiverr. There may be other, and sometimes it's better to work with local freelance platforms that you can go and put your profile and sell things, right? You can sell things on Facebook. You can say, hey, I translate documents, or hey, I was a great student in this grade. If you have kids that, in this grade, I will be happy to give them a few lessons, right? So try to focus on the opportunities that this entire situation is creating for us, for you to build some. Parents, they don't know what to do with their kids, right? They will wish that there was someone to entertain them. You can be that someone. That someone. There's a lot of people who cannot get their groceries. You can do groceries for them. There's a lot of opportunities. And always try to think about what you, instead of how will you build the next $1 million business. That's not the question you should be asking. Ask what I have, what can I do to make money, right? If you end up creating hundreds of small businesses, from one to the other, do that, and always save the money that you make. For saving, not spend the moment to, just spend money recklessly. Does that answer your question, Adita?
Yes. Well, maybe for now, that's all my question for now. Thank you for your time, brother. Maybe we'll meet again in a later time in different conditions. Hopefully, very different condition.
I thank you for this opportunity. It's always amazing talking to you.
Well, I think see you soon. Goodbye.
Yeah, of course, sure. Sure, of course. And you also have my WhatsApp, so we can